A threat to lock out Catholic elementary teachers. Thunder Bay's Veteran Affairs Office reopens. And a petition to save the Chippewa Wildlife Exhibit. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The Thunder Bay Catholic School Board is threatening to lock out its 380 elementary teachers if they decide to launch rotating strikes next week. The union says it could begin some sort of strike action on Monday, and the Director of Education says they're prepared to lock out the teachers and close all the schools starting Tuesday. Molly Fromer has more.
The Catholic School Board has notified the union that they will lock out the teachers at all 18 elementary schools on Tuesday, rather than accepting the partial strike risk. Director of Education Pino Tassoni says they had to prepare for a rotating strike and originally planned to keep the schools open, but with the risk that understaffing would pose on the safety of their students. The board decided to lock out the teachers and not keep the schools open.
We thought long and hard to say the best thing for us to do if they would go into a rotating strike, then we should apply or give notice to lock out. What that means that we have 5 days to consider locking our teachers out. That would most likely, that could only happen as soon as Tuesday, January 31st. So we hope that we don't go into a rotating strike. That was the reason why we made notice. It has an effect on the child. Children want to go to school. Children are there to learn, and it has a huge impact on parents. So we want to keep our kids in school. That's our number one priority.
Union President Aldo Grillo says they are very disappointed that the labor dispute with the board has came to this, and says forcing a lockout was perhaps the board's plan all along.
We have a great offer on the table, and I think that I'm hoping that the union and members take a look at that and they'll recognize that the offer's there. It allows us. We've always valued our seniority and experienced teachers. We do that already. We just want to have that ability at times to be able to hire someone with less seniority to meet the needs of a school.
Tassoni hopes the two sides can work out a deal before Tuesday. Education Minister Mitzi Hunter issued a statement saying the government shares the parents' concerns about a potential labor disruption and the impact this would have on the students. She strongly encourages the parties to use all of the options available to them to resolve the dispute, including binding arbitration. She adds if the strike or lockout happens, the province will do everything it can to support the students and parents. Molly Fromer, TBT News.
In January of 2014, the former Harper government closed 8 Veteran Affairs offices across the country, including the one here in Thunder Bay. Veterans sharply criticized the move and made it an election issue. The Trudeau Liberals pledged to reopen them, and today they made good on that promise here in the city. Adam Riley reports.
In August of last year, Veterans Affairs Minister Kent Hare announced that the Thunder Bay office would reopen at a new location on Syndicate Avenue beside Victoriaville Mall. The long-awaited opening was celebrated with a ribbon-cutting ceremony at a different federal building on Archibald Street because the office space on Syndicate was considered too small for the event. Thunder Bay MP Don Rusnak says it's important for veterans to have access to the frontline services provided.
Just getting reorientated into civilian life, getting those job skills. If you know anyone in the military, they've been in a regimented lifestyle for many years. So just getting those life skills and getting reintegrated back into civilian life is a big help for them.
Roy Lamore served in the Second World War and was on the front line in the battle to reopen the 8 smaller offices across the country after they were closed by the Harper government in 2014.
You wouldn't believe how good we feel because it's something we've been looking for. We read the papers, we hear the news, and all, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Now it is done. We are getting it. And this is the part that I'll bet you I'll get phone calls today from veterans that just saying thank you.
The office is located on the first floor of the government building on Syndicate, with 7 staff members serving approximately 1,700 veterans in the area. Lamore says he has some issues with the office's location in regards to wheelchair accessibility, but that is something that can be worked out at a later time.
We got our place open now. After a while we get used to it, then we'll be able to look at a better spot because it's, if you know where it is, and you'll probably see it later on today, it's not for a person that's in a wheelchair or for steps.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
The Friends of Chippewa Park have launched an online petition to try to save the park's wildlife exhibit from city budget cuts. The proposed operating budget recommends closing the exhibit on May 1st at a cost saving of $83,000 a year. The animals and birds would then be relocated to zoos across the country. The Friends group wants to stop the closure and instead turn the exhibit into a wildlife rescue and conservation center. President Lorraine Lordy Krawchuk says the viewing of wild animals has been a part of the fabric of Chippewa Park since 1924 and says eliminating the exhibit is unacceptable. The petition will be presented to City Council at the pre-budget consultation on Tuesday night, and the group is asking concerned citizens to speak against the closure. A link to the petition is available on the Friends of Chippewa website. Meanwhile, the city's budget chair says future tax levy increases could be brought down to as low as 2% starting next year. At a long-term planning meeting last night, Budget Chair Frank Puglia made the suggestion that drastic cuts combined with future growth could slash future tax levy increases, but city staff say cuts of those nature might not be appealing. Shelley Lee explains.
It's a dream for most city councilors, a tax levy increase of just 2%. But at a long-term budget meeting on Wednesday, Budget Chair Frank Puglia said it wasn't a dream, it could be reality.
If the political will was to give direction like we have done in the past, give direction to administration to find another 1% savings, we could theoretically bring a future budget increase of 2% while maintaining services and investment in infrastructure as you have planned.
Puglia's comments were in response to forecasts of future tax levy increases from 2018 to 2022. City staff estimate levy increases for those years to be around the 3% mark after projected growth. City Manager Norm Gale said Puglia's target was possible but could be undesirable.
Without making a qualifying comment about the impact on services, it's absolutely doable to find another 1%. It's just direct us to do it and we'll do it. Council may not find that palatable. I don't want to be careless or loose about this. Council will provide direction. We will follow direction.
However, McIntyre's Trevor Gertuga warned all of this is based on projected figures and should not be taken at face value. City staff had been able to bring this year's levy increase down through a series of reductions as requested by council. Those cuts overseen by Gale took $2.7 million off the budget and 1.56% off the levy increase. Combined with new growth, that brought the levy increase down to 3.07% from an initial projection of over 5.8% in October. Many councillors expressed support for the budget in light of those cuts, but the strongest support came from the mayor, who cited 6 years of levy increases at or below 3.21% after growth.
I think we've done very well, and I'm really sick and tired of getting brutalized at budget time and after budget time by this city. I think this last 2 terms of council have done an admirable job, so there. And anyone that doesn't think so can kiss my grits.
The budget process continues Tuesday with a public pre-budget deputation meeting at City Hall. Shelley Lee, TBT News.
A new clinic has opened its doors in Thunder Bay aimed at diagnosing and helping people with Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. The Memory Clinic at the Norwest Community Health Centre is one of 17 new clinics being introduced around Ontario. Referrals to the Memory Clinic are for anyone noticing changes with a friend or a loved one, such as misplacing items or forgetting names and places, or may also be various changes with a person in general. Northwest Director Juanita Lawson says there's a lot of concern around our aging population.
Individuals who are struggling with memory loss, that it's a real stressor for them. It's a stressor for families, and we want to be preventative. We want to work with them earlier so we don't get to the point that the families are struggling with so much stress that they don't know what to do.
An opportunity to work together, providing a specialized service to individuals who may have to see a number of different individuals as part of their care plan. So this really centralizes that care for clients and their family members and caregivers.
The program is a collaboration developed with 5 other organizations to provide support to clients experiencing dementia and to their family members as well. A young Thunder Bay woman has been chosen to serve on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's Youth Advisory Council. Riley Yesno is originally from the Yabmatung First Nation, and she's one of 26 members on the Youth Council. The government received thousands of applications after Trudeau announced the Youth Council last summer. He met with a group yesterday in Calgary. Officials from the Anishinaabe Nation say Yesno will be a strong voice for Nan youth. A college program, which is the first of its kind, is helping First Nations residents obtain jobs in the local health sector. Officials from Anishinaabe Employment Services, Confederation College, and St. Joseph's Care Group gathered at Hogarth Riverview Manor today. They're celebrating the completion of both the food services worker and personal support worker training programs, which produced 30 graduates from 9 First Nations. Eli Bullen reports.
It was a day of celebration for the Anishinaabe Employment and Training Services, as a program that years ago wasn't possible produced its first graduating class. Out of the 44 students who started the program out of Confederation College, 30 of them walked away with either their certification as a personal support worker or food services worker, giving them the ability to branch into the health sector.
Often there's an untapped resource that's missed, and First Nation citizens have that capacity to work in the health sector. So really this was an opportunity for those First Nation citizens to get training in that area of their career interest and realize that career potential.
Many of the graduating class has already found employment, with 11 PSWs already been hired on with the St. Joseph's Care Group, as well as a large portion finding employment in the northern communities. One of the program's graduates, Joshua Thompson, was hired by St. Joe's 4 days after his practicum and says he's happy with the opportunities the program gave him to work in the health industry.
I love it here. It's a lot of fun. You know, every night, sure, I'm tired, I'm sore, but the rewards in this line of work, you know, money can't touch it. You know, I feel good every night I go to bed, and I look forward to coming back when I wake up.
Eli Bullen, TBT News.
A Syrian family that came to Thunder Bay after escaping their war-torn country has now opened their own restaurant here in the city. Damascus Donaird celebrated its grand opening this morning. Zahir Tubaji and his family arrived in February of last year, and almost spending a year getting acquainted with the city, the Tubajis have opened their Syrian restaurant on St. Paul Street with an official ribbon cutting. Speaking through a translator, Tubaji says they've been given a warm welcome by the community.
I'm sitting in Sham, which is the area in Syria, between family members. That's how I feel.
You know, the Tubaji family will be adding to the economy of Thunder Bay. They are now, you know, taxpayers, and they will be contributing to the cultural fabric of our community. You know, they are adding to our incredible food scene that's already burgeoning.
Tubaji says he's open to expanding the business in order to serve more Donair lovers here in the city. Mount Baldy ski area hosted a unique fundraiser for the first time today, and the weather couldn't have been more perfect. All the money collected from ski passes today went towards the St. Joseph's Foundation's Power of One campaign. For a $10 donation, any visitors to Mount Baldy received a free lift ticket, free equipment rentals, and free lessons. It was the first time the Ski Hill has run this type of fundraiser. Ski Hill co-owner Christoph Karda says it's been a huge success.
I classify today as a success. We've got the chalets full. We have a lot of people rolling out. But all in all, you know, just to see the people out here and the families that unfortunately pulled their kids out of school, that's a success.
Cardis purchased the ski hill in October with his two brothers, Daniel and Jason Cardis, and he says seeing the hill packed with new faces was a welcome sight. Many of the people who turned out were beginners as they took to the slopes for the first time.
And it turned out to be a pretty good day to be on the slopes, Fiona, but a stark reminder that today we are indeed in January and